Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode of Genre Makers. If you're new to the channel or just haven't checked out the series, this is where I go into games that were influential or sometimes made entirely new genres of games. Today, we have another that while it didn't exactly make the genre, it's probably considered the go-to series when someone talks about vehicle combat games, and that's Twisted Metal. So today I thought we'd go into what makes up this kind of game, what the early games were like, and what made this one such a big deal outside of it just being kind of awesome. So if you have a minute, sit back and hang out as we go into the vehicle combat genre. Now the gameplay in this genre as well, it's kind of a simple thing. Think demolition derby with guns, rockets, flamethrowers, alien invasions. Yeah, that was a real thing. Think vigilante 8-second events. Almost anything goes in these kinds of games, quite frankly. Basically, you get dropped into an arena with no set path. It's just open for you to explore and engage in combat with the other cars. After defeating so many cars, or fulfilling certain objectives, or even killing a boss, you clear that area and move on to the next one. The player commonly gets to pick one of any number of cars, complete with the drivers that have their own bios and motivations for doing whatever it is they're doing. Many times, they have their own individual endings, kind of like individual fighters in fighting games. This would allow the player more replayability in the single-player campaign to go through a group of character stories. How did we get here though? Well, let's look at a few games, shall we? Parts of this genre actually go back quite a ways. Some games like Spy Hunter, based off the James Bond series, allowed you to ram, release smoke screens and oil slicks on hostiles trying to run you off the road, this being probably one of the earlier examples. Another, oddly enough, being RC Pro-Am, which most people don't think of for a car combat game, but it did allow you to pick up and fire rockets at opponents to improve your race position. Later, Rock and Roll Racer would further encourage players to take shots at one another, temporarily taking them out of positioning and allowing the racer to take the lead, all to a killer heavy metal styled soundtrack. Now, most of these have more ties to kart racers than the kind of arena style game that we're talking about today. They were, however, an important step in showing off some of the mechanics that would become staples of the genre when it fully came into its own in the 90s. Now, Twisted Metal would take this kind of racing vehicle combat and sort of, well, entirely throw out the racing and add destruction derby. It was kind of a simple yet brilliant idea, to be honest. Who needs racing when you can simply total the competition with a much larger arsenal than most games had had before now? Gone would be things like mushrooms and bullet bills, turbo boosts, and in its place would be more weapons like mortars, mines, different guns, and character-specific special weapons. This last part is what really made the genre stand out on its own. It was the personality and thought not only put behind the styling of each car and driver, but each character's special ability that would often allow them to do massive damage if not total a car outright. This, plus the limited lives or permanent elimination, and the additional bosses, like in Twisted Metal, made for a very fun single player and an even better multiplayer experience that had tons of us investing hours and weekends with friends, basically doing run after run, tearing up cars, and eagerly seeing every ending the game had to offer. It goes without saying that the game was a hit, and started its own series, and even inspiring games like Cell Damage and Vigilante 8, giving us some of the most fun to be had on a console in their respective generations. However, what do you guys think of this one? Are any of you fans of Twisted Metal? Are there any other series I mentioned that you'd like, or ones that I missed? Would you like to see this type of game type make a comeback, and if so, in what form? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, if you don't mind, please give this video a like. And if you see more of my content you like, possibly some of the ones on the screen now, consider following the channel. That helps me out a ton. For now though, thank you so much again for spending part of your day with me, and until we meet again, happy gaming!